Okay, I got this oil tank all cleaned out now in here. Customer said he had it all cleaned out, but of course, didn't do a damn thing. It was full of oil. So now I got it all cleaned out. So all the blown up motor parts that came out of this motor are not in here no more. And we're going to keep these stupid ass stainless braided lines for now. And we got a battery box right here. That bolts to the back of our tank right here. And I got to replace all these rubber mounts here. This one here is the only one that even looks like it's any good. This one's broken. That one over there is missing. And that other one over here on the other side, it's all broken away. So I got to replace all of that stuff. I think they had the starter button hanging off of this one or something stupid. So I'm going to go ahead and change out these mounts right here. Get all this bracketry set up, and then I'm going to go ahead and put the tank up in there. Bolt it up in there, and then we'll come back and show you what it looks like. Alright, I got our oil tank mounted up in here. Got new rubber mounts on there. Got our starter button there. Got most of the wiring tucked away up out of the way of the clutch cable underneath here. And up all through here where it's going to rub on things. The exhaust pipe's sitting here about like this here. I got to make up some kind of coil spacer or something to hold this coil up in here, because this bracket has to sit off of the coil so it won't short the wiring out. So I have to make up some stuff for that, because all the stuff's missing, it looks like. I didn't take this thing apart, so that makes it fun. It's like putting together a puzzle with no instructions or no pictures. Always fun. So I'm trying to figure out all the lines over here on what to do, and it's kind of hard. So I put the pipe up in here this way so I know where it's going to sit. There's a factory bracket that comes off of this bolt back over here, up inside of here. That's missing, so I'll probably get to either come up with that bracket or make that bracket that goes in there. That'll keep these lines away from this exhaust pipe. I don't want them being on top of the pipe. This line here had a big crimp in it originally, so I want to make sure that stays flat. I had to position this out here a little bit further to clear the new case, because the case is thicker up through here than the old case was. Looks like you got a quick disconnect here for wiring. It's laying back there somewhere on the other side. I got to bring back through. This is our feed line. It's going to be mounted down low here. It's back a little bit. And we got an idiot light switch here. I got a breather line in the back here that has no fittings. I'm going to go ahead and put this S&S fitting up in the back of the case here. This thing is buried. So that'll sit back in there, and we're going to rubber line through here to the back of the bike. That'll be our engine breather. So looks like this bike has an idiot light switch, so that goes right up in there. Get this crap out of the way, you can see better. So anyway, it's all fun. This one has an oil gauge up here in the rocker box up here. So you've got a gauge and an idiot light. So anyway, I got to get all this stuff figured out. This here all gets tucked up under here. So I'll get all this stuff plastered up in here, pasted in, and figured out. We got our new Lord mount here. And there's our ground wire for our battery box. New mount back here. So it looks like we got some relays, some circuit breakers. Who knows what else. I got to figure out where it all goes to. Looks like a battery charger wire here. I'll probably just leave that out. I don't like them things anyway. So here's another wire. This looks like a positive wire here. So anyway, all this stuff has to be figured out before you put all the other stuff in. So things can get interesting. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and hook up all these fittings right here. Get this part done here, and then I can see more about where I'm going to have to put all this electrical stuff. And then on the other side, I'll make up a coil spacer for the other side and move the spacer bracket out, the coil bracket out to clear the electrical terminal plate. And figure all that out. So we got a bunch of relays up here for something. I'm not sure what all this is all about. Another circuit breaker. And these are where our lines go in. So lots and lots of fun. Alright, I'll update you as I go. Okay, we're getting the wiring figuring out here in the oil lines. So I got a breather fitting coming out of the case down there. I plugged up the hole below it. I got the oil cylinder line hooked up. We got our feed line hooked up there, and this is the puke tube here for the engine breather going back here. And get back a little bit, you can see. We'll run this here back by the exhaust somewhere and clip it off. And get around and figuring that out. Trying to figure out where all this wiring goes. I still got the these two lines here to hook up. They're going to go right over to here. I gotta go find my bracket that goes up here to keep the lines off the exhaust. I got the ignition hooked up underneath down here now. I ran the wire up through over there, that gray one. So I'm trying to figure out where these extra wires are that I can't find anything to go to. I got the coil stuff sitting over here. I got these two wires here to cut, don't know where they go to, and I got this big one right here, don't know where it goes to. Here's my coil set up. I went and grabbed a couple new bolts and a couple spacers. So this will be our lower bolt, this is our upper bolt. The lower bolt goes through this adapter bracket thing here they make, so someone cut it off. And this is our stock top bolt here. So it'll go through like this here. Yeah. So we should have about that much threads there holding that with and going through the plate. So this will go like this here, like that. There's a coil again. And now this will space this up enough that we shouldn't have any shorting. So that'll keep the coil off of all our wiring there. The coil does not like staying put. So figure all that out. I got the ignition wire going up through here out of the way once it's up in the air. So I'm going to have to figure out where all this stuff here goes still. So I'm going to have to get the battery up on the other side and get it connected so I can see where it goes. But for now, that's where we're at. So that's about an hour worth of work. And this here is our regulator wire here. It just kind of hangs down low and underneath the bike, which is not a good spot. So I'll probably wind up rerouting that too. But anyway, that's where we're at for now. So we'll continue. Okay, a couple more pieces on. We just do a little bit here at a time. That's how you get these things put together. So I had to put the fitting in the case here, get the line on there, hook the line there. Went and got the cable or the line bracket here. I rebent it so it fits a little bit cleaner. It was pointed kind of downhill, hit down here, so I got up where I like it. So now we have lots of room for the exhaust pipe to come out of here, not be anywhere near our lines. This line was also crimped right here. You see how it was all folded in half right. They had like a tight 90-degree bend right here, and it folded in half. So putting the line on the bike correctly, we've got to run one big long curve coming up through here all the way up to the top. So everything is a nice curve. So now we won't have no more pinch line on the bike. When you put things in correctly, you don't have problems. So all of this is nice and clean and tucked in. I still can hook up the wire right up under here. I'll get that next. We gotta make sure our brake line stays above the bottom of the frame rail here. So it looks like it's pretty good. So you just gotta keep all this stuff tucked up out of the way so there's no problems. So just do a little bit at a time, and eventually it gets all done. So now I'm about ready to see how this battery tray is gonna fit here. So this is going to fit right over in this area here. So we'll go like that. This is a ground wire for the tray. So looks like that's all going to clear the bracket right here. I might have to lightly lower this down slightly. I'll see once I get it all bolted and how close it is, but looks like it'll be enough clearance. But you can see how everything's nice and tucked in nice. There's no exhaust pipe here, so you can see all of this stuff here, so you want to make sure it looks nice and clean and precisionally done like it should be. The other pipe will come right through here. So anyway, we'll continue. Okay, I'm trying to figure out this battery box arrangement here. It looks like they have the starter relay right here. I'm going to go ahead and bolt it right to here. So it'll all be up underneath in here on the inside. It'll be up in here like that. It'll be all hidden. You'll just see the wires coming out of the back here. And this is our ground wire coming up off the tranny. So I'm going to go ahead and take the ground wire for the relay. I'm going to put these two wires together. And that'll come off this stud right here, which I don't really like doing, but there's no other place to hook it right now. Yeah, let's see here. I could probably come off this bolt under here. It should give me a ground. So I might do that. I don't like going to 15 different locations for all this stuff. At least this one here is the ground wire, so if the two wires are together, they're probably going to be connected. So anyway, I'll look at that and we'll figure it out and get back to this. Alright, I went ahead and got this alternator cable up out of the way, wire. So I zip tied it right here to the frame, right behind the primary. It's up above the bottom of the frame. I took it over here. I wrapped it around the top of this frame and zip tied it on the other side, so it's all out of the way. I still got to hook all this up over here. All the alternators got to be regular, has to be hooked up, but we'll work on that here in a little bit. Over on this side here, we got the, you can see with the zip tie, the wire, almost can see it. Wire drops down low, sucks up some of the excess length. When they come up, I wrap it up around the, it's hard to see right here. Anyway, it comes up around here. I zip tie the brake switch wire. I went and got these two wires here, which is the relay and the brake. I zip tied those two together as a unit. So they're staying above our lever down here for a clutch, so they won't be tangled up in that at all. And then I went and put the starter relay up under here. And I'll go ahead and hook the ground wire directly to where this other one goes up onto this post right here. That's where we're mount. So all this will be tucked up in there like that. And our positive wire, which is on the wrong side of the battery box, here. This will be free to go in either direction depending on whether it's left or right style positive post. And it'll be all held up off the clutch lever again, so it won't drag on anything. And everything's away from these braided lines which eat through everything. So everything's tucked up nice and clean. So I'll go ahead and hook the rest of the battery box up and show you what that looks like. Alright, I got the battery box mounted up in here now. You see how the wires come across here. Tucked up out of the way. I got my two ground wires up inside of there. We got kind of some access to them. It's laying up right next to the arm right here, the clutch arm, but damn light. It's not really dragging on it. It's just right there. Those other two there are just laying on top of the arm, barely. They're free to go up and down though, so there's no real load on them. The starter relay is all tucked up under here, so can't even see it up in there. It's buried up in there, right there. And get this is all tied up right here. I gotta clip that tie off there, I see. So all of this stuff is tucked up nice and cleanly. I had to re-drill that hole, which I already drilled. I took that ugly foot peg bracket off that they weren't using. So now everything's all opened up all around this battery box. Looks like there's something wrong with this kicker too, so it goes too far forward. More problems. And you can see how the clearance I got through here on our oil lines. Got lots of room. They're not dragging on anything. So that's how it should be. The only problem I got is my ignition wire is coming right through there. I gotta make sure it gets tucked up a little bit better than it is right now. I gotta get the coil over there next, so we'll work on that. So anyway, that's how this all looks. So this side looks pretty clean. So I'll go ahead and work on the other side now. Okay, I'm checking out the wiring right now, trying to figure out where this goes. This is obviously our 30 amp main circuit breaker. So this comes off our battery terminal here, and this wire was that black when it was on the other side cut. And I don't know what this is all about up here. This here is our ignition stuff here. Normally this is your hot wire goes here from the battery. There's a jumper to here, and you got your power on these other two over here, and then you got accessory terminal back here. But they custom wired this thing, so it's wired wrong. So right now they got this brown wire as our hot wire from our battery, and you can see how it's got a big pinch in there, which half cut through already. And this is our light wire right here. So this stuff's for our lights. And this here is our main wire down here. This stuff all has power to it while it's hooked up right now, or when I'm turning this switch on. So I have no idea what these brown wires are going to, but they are hot. So I'm going to have to disconnect them out of the circuit. We can't have a short in the bike. So I'm assuming these might have been to some accessory lights or something else on the bike down the road. So trying to see what's not working here. Here's our headlight. Not sure what's running these running lights here. That's probably what all this stuff here has, some kind of a something up on the dash cover maybe I don't have. So we have our tail light on. These running lights are not working, so maybe these are where the wiring goes to. That stuff's all down in there someplace. So anyway, without having all the stuff here, it's hard to finish a bike. So I got no dash cover, so I don't know what's connected and not connected. So I'm going to have to find a place to put the circuit breaker. So I'll probably wind up just hanging it off of the main post like you're supposed to. I don't know why they got an accessory zip tie there that they're going to something else. Who knows? Anyway, let me figure out all that. So at least I know what those wires are over there for. So we'll go ahead and try to figure out what we're going to do to make that work. And I guess I'll go ahead and get that regulator hooked up here next. That gives me something to do while I'm trying to get the customer to bring all the rest of the parts for his bike. Now I go ahead and get this motor mount and get the motor button back up. But at least we got the center part of the bike kind of back together, which is a lot of work. But it's about 3 or 4 hours for the day to get this much done. So if you want to do it right, it takes time. You can see how this all looks down under here now. So when you get down on the ground, you can see how the wires come down right here, but it's pretty clean looking, so not too bad. So, alright, we'll continue. Okay, I'm getting my coil all hooked up in here, getting all the wires tucked up out of the way. Pretty tight up under here and all this, but we got a major issue right down in here. All these wires are laying right on the side of this oil tank, which is a relatively sharp edge, which can cut through all these wires. So I'm going to take this vacuum hose here, I'm going to slit it, and I'm going to put it right over the edge of this tank right through here. So when I tighten all this up, it'll be protected a little bit. So I'll make sure that doesn't have a shorting problem. We don't need any of those. So just got to pay attention when you do all this stuff. You can also see how things are all pretty tightly jammed up in there. Okay, we got the coil all mounted up in here now. You can see that piece of tubing I stuck up in there to help insulate the wires. It's all jammed up in there pretty tight also. I got everything poked up that was over here laying by the head is gone. I got this tied up off right tight in here so that the exhaust pipe can come through in here and not burn up anything. Another zip tie down here. So all of this wiring that comes up through here is tucked in as tight as it can possibly get. So you got a nice big hole right here to go through. So make sure everything's good and tight. That's good. Can't put the regulator on yet because I don't have a stator in here. It's hard to hook up your regulator when there's no alternator. So over here on this side you can see how it's pretty tight. Coming this way, there's a bunch of wires getting pinched between the oil tank. I had to shove them all out of the way and get the hose up in there. And I put the hose past the frame rail so you can't, so the wire cannot go between the tank and the hose and get jammed up at all. And everything else is all tucked up nice and tight up under here. So got nothing really hanging in the way of anything. So that's all pretty well got that all handled. One thing I did notice over here when I hooked the wire up into the clutch lever, I noticed that there's a big bend right here. This is for our electric start solenoid here, that green wire. So this bracket here is going at this angle, the cable's at this angle. So I'm going to take it and take this out, bend this bracket back a little bit, and get to more line up this straight so that it'll won't try to cut the cable in half right here on that spot, which is what it's going to try to do right now. So we'll go ahead and work on that here next. Okay, I just got this clutch cable bracket bent back a little bit. So now you can see it's a straight shot all the way down your lever. And this is about the position where it belongs for your adjustment. They just stick out about 1/4 to 3/8 of an inch here. That's usually about max. So we'll see. Once we get everything else hooked up, we'll tell. But at least now when you pull on the cable, it'll pull nice and even. So yeah, cover doesn't want to come up, but anyway, you can see how it works evenly. It's not going to try to break the cable in half. It also makes the cable a lot easier to work, to pull it back and forth. This here we can put up so it sits up a little higher, so it doesn't dangle down like that. So that also makes this handlebars up here, which are really tall, makes the cable a little bit better. So we'll have to put some kind of, get this clamp mounted someplace where it'll stay up in the air if we can. So, yeah, one more thing to do right when you got it apart. This stuff's a lot easier to fix when you got the primary cover off. So looks like we're pretty well got all this stuff finished up over here. So next thing I guess is get the alternator up in here and we can put the primary on it. So we'll continue.